Isabella of Spain. Isabel opens her eyes upon a muddled world and meets a king and the king's master. Isabel was born to the purple in no ordinary sense. She was more than the daughter of King Juan II of Castile and his second wife, Doña Isabel of Portugal. Under the pink and white of her skin pulsed the blood of crusaders and conquerors, the blood of Alfred the Great, of William the Conqueror, of the Iron Plantagenet Henry II, and the fiery Eleanor of Aquitaine, of Edward I and Edward III of England, of Philip the Bold of France, of Alfonso the Wise of Castile. She was descended on both sides from Louis the Ninth of France and his cousin Fernando III of Castile, both kings, both crusaders, and both canonized saints. She derived Lancastrian blood through both parents from John of Gaunt, brother of the Black Prince, yet her arrival in a chaotic world of the 22nd of April 1451 caused hardly a stir even in the little town of Madrigal. Her father, who was at Segovia, announced the event by proclamation. I, the king, ... make known to you that by the grace of our Lord, this Thursday just past, the queen, Doña Isabel, my dear and well-beloved wife, was delivered of a daughter, the which I tell you that you may give thanks to God. The Infanta was baptized a few days later in the Church of St. Nicholas with no special pomp or display. When the voices of her sponsors rumbled among the arches and arabesques of the old church, renouncing Satan and all his works on her behalf, there was no prophet on hand to cry out that one of the most remarkable women in all history had been born. During the long and painful confinement of Isabel's mother, there were certain symptoms of poisoning which, although they yielded to antidotes, left her a victim of a chronic nervous depression. In an epoch when the illnesses of the great were often ascribed to the malice of their foes, it was inevitable that people should whisper the name of Don Álvaro de Luna, Constable of Castile and Grand Master of the Order of Santiago, Grand Master of the Order of Santiago, especially as that gifted and charming gentleman had long been suspected of having murdered the king's first wife, Doña Maria of Aragon, and her sister, the Dowager Queen Leonor of Portugal. Lean, dark, and sinister, exquisite in silk and jewels, handsome even in his late middle age, this nephew of the anti-pope Benedict had been absolute master for a long generation of King Juan and of all Castile. He looted the crown to make himself fabulously rich. He corrupted the church by naming unworthy friends for benefices. He alienated the nobles by his insolence and arrogance. He infuriated the populace by giving high offices and privileges to Jews and Moors. He sowed discord in Aragon, Navarre, France, and Italy for his own ends, and he led a life so dissolute that many blamed him for all the moral decay that made the court notorious. It was in his time Said the chronicler Palencia that Castile saw the beginning of certain infames tratos obscenos. Infamous, obscene customs which have since increased so shamefully. Intimate friend as well as a prime minister. He dominated. He dominated the king completely. He told him what to wear, what to eat, and even when to enter the bedroom of Queen Maria. Various interpretations were attached to the royal complacency. Many suspected the constable of sorcery. Some said that he was protecting the weak-willed king from his own immoderation. Others questioned the legitimacy of Don Enrique, the heir to the throne, but the gossip troubled the king not at all, so long as he was spared the boredom of administration and left free to indulge his passion for poetry and music. For with all his weaknesses, he was a loyal patron of the fine arts. When Queen Leonor was driven out of Portugal by her brother-in-law, the regent, Don Pedro, she visited her sister, the Queen of Castile, and de Luna, who was friendly to Don Pedro, resented her presence as a threat to his own supremacy. Queen Maria died after an illness of only 3 days. There were strange spots on her body, says the chronicler, like those caused by herbs. Her sister died of the same mysterious ailment. The enemies of Don Alvaro had their opinion. The king, who was disappointed in his son Enrique, thought of marrying again. His choice fell upon Fredagonde, daughter of Charles VII of France, but Don Alvaro had other plans for him. He had already, in fact, arranged for his master's marriage to the young Princess Isabel, first cousin of King Alfonso V of Portugal and niece of the regent Don Pedro. The constable feared the effect of a French alliance on his own position. On the other hand, his friend Don Pedro would know how to influence his young and inexperienced niece in the right direction. And Don Alvaro flattered himself that she would become a pliant instrument in his hands for the domination of the king. Women had always found him irresistible. Women had always found him irresistible. In the year 1447, consequently, there came to Burgos a slender princess from the west. whose face was rather melancholy in repose, though it became singularly beautiful like the glass of some Gothic window when the light of any emotion shone through it. She was the daughter of the Infante Don Juan, a younger son of Juan the Great of Portugal. Her grandmother was Philippa, one of the daughters of John of Gaunt. Her welcoming was magnificent even for a country with a weakness for royal brides. There were dances, banquets, speeches, bullfights, tourneys, glittering processions. Don Alvaro had arranged everything. But Isabel had grown up in the court of a strong monarch and had very definite notions of what a king should be. Her husband, the slave of a haughty subject? Intolerable! Intolerable. Her husband. That anyone should attempt to regulate her domestic routine was not even to be thought of. And when Don Alvaro bowed over her hand with his most disarming smile, she read his heart. And feeling that this man was the soft voice and the touch that made one think of a dark snake, would destroy her body and soul unless she destroyed him. She decided without hesitation that he must be destroyed.